Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Are you over 50 and frustrated? Well, I am. I'm so frustrated. I'm going to tell you a story about it, about this week, and about the bigger picture as well. So I just turned 57 on Saturday, April 12th. And my girlfriend, she's a teacher, and she gets April vacation off. So she said very recently to me, hey, you know what? It would be really cool if you could play hooky for a day or two, take some time off this week. We could spend some time together. It's idyllic. The cherry trees and the magnolias are blossoming. It's all the beautiful spring things that can be in New England right now, and it's gorgeous outside. However, there's a catch. Work just reinforced this idea that we need at least a week's notice and maybe more in order to get time off, and even then, it's not a guarantee. Okay, great. What do I do? Well, I could call in sick, but the reality is that they're not going to send somebody else in to cover my accounts in that case. And there's a huge amount of work that can pile up really, really fast that I'm just going to be responsible for. Also, on Wednesday, tomorrow, there's this extra task they've assigned to me that's going to take a few hours where I'm going to go into this new account. And so it's very important for you to be here no matter what. That kind of thing, even juggling things around. And so I'm finding myself in this position of being over 50 years old and being told by my employer, no, you cannot spend time with your girlfriend. And I don't know about you, but this is not what I signed up for when I entered the workforce decades ago. You know what I mean? This is not what I wanted to get myself into. And to be honest, I really just wanted to say, screw this, F this. Maybe you do too. But there's reality. We're not 20 or 30 years old anymore. If you are and you're watching this video, this still applies. But, I can't just go rent an apartment with, four of my buddies, quit my job, say, screw this, without another income source, a big income source coming right in after it, while I'm trying to build a different life. I can't do that because I've got a mortgage, I've got bills, I've got responsibilities, I've got all this stuff that we tend to pile up, as we get older in life. That's just the reality of the situation. So I can't just walk away from that. So, I'm trying to build something better, because I don't want to stay where I am right now. But, it's one of those things that I can't devote tons and tons of energy to it to the exclusion of all else because I can't quit my job and move in with four friends, But I don't want to be at somebody else's beck and call for the rest of my life. I don't want to be a de facto indentured servant saying, mother, may I go to the bathroom? Mother, may I spend some time with my girlfriend? And there's lots of these channels that talk about minimalism, and I'm fascinated by some of them, and it definitely has its appeal. But here's the thing, I like my house. I like sleeping indoors. I like my things. I spent a long time collecting a lot of these things. I like my comforts. I'll be really honest. I like a little bit of luxury. It doesn't have to be a lot of luxury, but it has to be something. And, for me, the answer to being underpaid and undervalued and being treated like nothing as a resource is to just say, okay, throw my hands up in despair, get rid of a lot of things and survive as a minimalist. That's not for me. That's not the correct answer. For you, it might be. But no, I don't want to do that after working decades and then say, I'm just going to survive, So there's less time in the day now to build a new life because, I'm not going to give all this stuff up. I have all these responsibilities. I can't go live with the four friends. So there's less time in the day to build up something different. And there's less time in life to enjoy it once I'm done. However, in 10 years, I'm going to be 10 years older. You're going to be 10 years older. And we're going to be 10 years older whether or not we start pursuing what we really want in life or not. Fair enough to say? And progress takes time. I wish that it did not. I just got back from the gym, and I figured I was going to change and take a shower. I'm like, no, I'm mad and I'm irritated. And, I'm going to wear these clothes and look dirty. When I just came back from the gym, I took a 311-day hiatus from the gym. I know that because they told me when I re-upped my membership. And I've been to that gym 7 times in 9 days. And I've eaten salads. And I've eaten really healthily. And I'm still fat and out of shape. What gives? I know what gives because I've done this before. If you watch my channel, you've seen me get skinny and then get fat and skinny and fat. Progress takes time. And it takes some, it's slow, but it does happen. And this takes some emotional resilience, which is not easy. It takes a shift in perspective. And this gradual improvement over time is something that we can see in a lot of areas of our life. I've definitely seen that in recovery. I've seen that in the time that I've, spent practicing and learning how to play my instrument, and in building other skills in life. It just takes time. We don't notice it, in the day to day. It seems like nothing's happening. And then after a while, you get to look back and say, oh, well, I've made all this progress. But it doesn't feel good in the moment, does it? It really doesn't. And so, the goal is to build like a different source of income, something that's not at the beck and call of somebody else, something where I'm not working for somebody else. And yeah, maybe it sounds a little silly and a little ridiculous, but screw it. That's the goal. And building something like a following online as a start of that, and doing so purposefully rather than just, having a YouTube channel and people subscribe because they like what I had to say, where I don't really care whether I gain subscribers. I don't really care, in that case. It's a little different, but that progress is slow, but I'd rather do it in a meaningful way. I'm not willing to be inauthentic. I'm not willing, to be somebody that I'm not. And because of that, it's probably going to take longer than for somebody that's willing to be inauthentic, that's willing to say and do things that wouldn't necessarily jive with my values. I'd rather be me and have it take time than be fake just to get some kind of fast results. So, yeah, it's frustrating. I can't take a freaking simple day off with somebody I love without asking for permission. My debts aren't going to go away overnight. They just aren't. I'm not quitting my job next week, and it's probably not even in a year or 2 years. It might take 5 or 10 years. I don't know how long it's going to take. And, after all these years, decades of working hand to mouth, it just kind of hits harder now. That, man, I've spent all that time doing that, and I'm still right here in the same place that I was essentially when I'm 20, except with more responsibility, more weight. The boulder I'm pushing uphill, or the weight I'm dragging behind the chains, has gotten larger. All of a sudden, I have visions of Marley visiting Scrooge, And, I never took the steps when I was younger to build up the kind of life that I want. I always figured, well, I'll do that later. And so now, well, here we are. And I'm 57, and there's an emotional impact of that, and it's very easy to fall into the trap of beating yourself up, which doesn't benefit you or I anything, But that doesn't mean give up. It doesn't mean it's too late. It's not too late for me. It's not too late for you, for whatever you want to do, and to say, what, screw this. I'm not doing this anymore, whatever this is, and I'm doing this other thing I've always wanted to do, no matter what it is. It's just difficult. It's hard to change. It's hard to change, when you've done something for years and years and decades. They're hard habits. It's difficult to stay motivated when the feeling, that you made a decision has left you. I have a friend that says, I forget what it says, something about character is the ability to keep on doing the thing that you promised you were going to do long after the feeling that you made that decision in has left. Do you feel me on that one? That moment where I was almost not going to go to the gym. It's like, well, damn it. I said I was going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym. So I went, even though I was like, really, what I want to do is go home, take a shower, and go drive over to Susan's house and spend some time with her without going to the gym, without making a video, without talking about all this kind of stuff. But I went and I did that anyway because these are important things to do. It's hard to quiet those voices from childhood, all the trauma from childhood, all the societal voices that tell you, well, this is what you should do, and it's silly to try to step out of line, and just be a good, obedient worker. Just have a job. Don't try to do something different. Don't be silly. Decades of that work culture, societal culture, all that kind of stuff. But if you and I have made it this far in life, we're already strong enough to continue and try to do the things that we really want to do. And thankfully, I've got good people. I've got my girlfriend. I've got some good friends. I've got some other sources of inspiration that I can turn to, to remind me that I'm worth it, that I'm capable of doing the things that those other voices are telling me that I can't do, and that negative self-talk still shows up, but, I can push back. I have resources to help me push back. The frequency and intensity and duration of those negative thoughts, of those feelings of despondency. And believe me, I was feeling despondent a couple days ago. Those periods are shorter because I have some resources. Doesn't mean that these things won't show up. That's not a sign to quit. That's just a sign of being human. but it's hard to remember that in the moment, especially when you look and say, oh my God, I'm 57. I spent all this time not preparing myself or not doing the things I needed to do to have the life that I wanted. Once again, whatever the hell that is. But I've done this before in other areas of life. Recovery was a huge, huge thing. And it seemed insurmountable to, not be dependent upon substances and to put my life back together and to be able to withstand my own emotions and that kind of stuff. And I've done it. I've done other things, in life, going back to the gym now again, but I know I can do that. I've seen myself do in the past. You get the idea. So I can do it here as well. I can make whatever change I want to because I have experience. Even not experienced in that, but I've experienced, and I can learn whatever it is that I need to learn that I don't know, as uncomfortable as that can be. So, are you over 50 and frustrated? I encourage you to feel it. I encourage you to feel the frustration, to be ticked off. Anger makes a great motivator, makes a lousy steering wheel. So once you get angry, once you say, you know what, screw this, I am not going to be stuck in this cage, whatever this cage is, any longer. I encourage you then to take some steps back, look at things intelligently, come up with some kind of plan, and be willing to change it, if it doesn't work. But, you're not stuck. I'm not stuck. You're not stuck. So it's okay to be frustrated, and it's okay to feel despondent sometimes, as long as you just keep showing up, keep putting one foot in front of the other. You learn something every day. We'll be all right, right? Take it easy, kids. I'm going to go take a shower now.